Hello friends, we are at the Queen's Park Savannah. It's a sunny morning, relatively clear sky, and as I began walking around the savannah, I thought to myself, you know what, why don't I pull out my GoPro and record some of the decorations that are around. These decorations are put up for what is Independence Day, which is in August, the 31st actually, and Republic Day in September. So this is a time that has already passed, but I've only now gotten a chance to record it. What we're also looking at is a place called the Hollows in the Savannah, sort of a depression in the grounds that you have to go down into, and there's like ponds, birds, plants, a place to picnic and so forth. This savanna is around 2.4 miles to go around it, and across there is the botanical gardens. Now I have several videos about the savanna, the botanical gardens and so forth, and sometimes I will walk around it and talk, and that's what we're going to do today. You're going to see the savanna and some of the surroundings, and at the same time I'm going to share some of my opinions on things that's going on at this time. So feel free to sit back and relax, and if you feel like you would like to support JB's Man Cave, you can always visit jbmancave.com and give a donation. It's appreciated. And while I'm on that line, I would like to give a special shout out to some of my watchers, fans, if I can call them that, people who have supported my channel, Beats, Michelle and Marty especially, who all contributed in my last video, and I really appreciate the support. Really helps me and my sons especially. Now that's the botanical gardens around across the road. I have videos for that, you can look out for them on my channel. Now I'm soon to be reaching 1,000 videos on my channel, so I know it's a bit hard to search, especially if you're using a phone. Some of my viewers have said that they can't search individually on my channel through their phone, but I don't know, it doesn't show up for me like that. When you hit the search button, it just searches all of YouTube. If you're using like a laptop, maybe even a tablet, or definitely a computer or a large screen TV, then you do see the search option for just my channel on my homepage. Now sometimes I will record an area, but there are areas within that video that may pass through areas that you are interested in. That might sound confusing, but for instance, I might record a video that's labeled Port of Spain, but I may pass through St. Clair, for instance, which is also part of Port of Spain, and you may be just interested in that. So for example, if you're looking for certain areas and you just can't find it, just post a comment in the comments area of one of my videos or this video and tell me what you're looking for. I'll try to link you to it. Now I like to walk around the savannah. It's good exercise. It's good exercise for my sons as well. It keeps them going. You know, not only that, but being close to nature, absorbing vitamin D from the sun, the fresh air, the green. It's all good for not only the body but the mind. I haven't run for a long while, especially when the pandemic hit. I mean, I used to do 5 miles every other day of running, and when the pandemic hit, they kind of, in my mind, banned it. They said you could run with a mask, but I knew that just was not possible, so I just stopped running altogether. And because that went on for 2 years, the pandemic rules and policies, that is, I just kind of give up on running. I mean, I switched to more to lifting weights, doing some calisthenics and so forth, but it's just not the same as taking a good run. However, I put on a few pounds, and I'm only now starting to get back into it, and I'm not running actually, I'm walking, or sometimes fast walking, but at the end of this video, I thought, let me just take a quick run and see how I felt. So you'll see me kind of running at the end of it. I didn't, normally I started at a different point in the Savannah where you would have seen the Magnificent Seven, which are houses that have a special historic interest to Trinidad and Tobago. But I didn't start there because I only got the idea to start recording this later. And I will cross the Savannah's road there. I don't want to call it street. I don't know what's the name of it, if it has a name. But anyway, I will cross the road and I will go to what is supposed to be a statue in remembrance of the mighty sparrow, which is a Calypsonian that is considered one of the best Calypsonians in the world. Now, where we were just looking at there, that's the entrance to the president's ground, the president of the country. Trinidad and Tobago has a president and a prime minister. So unlike other countries where we may just have a president, we have two leaders in authority. While the president is considered the, I don't know how to put it, the country's leader with the most authority, let's put it that way. A lot of people consider the role of the president more of a ceremonial or figurehead kind of role, whereas the prime minister tends to take more of a front role in guiding the country to X or Y place. But anyway, that's where the president lives. You can see some of the colors that are hanged from these light poles. They represent the colors of Trinidad and Tobago, which is red, white, and black. Those are colors of our national flag, which you should have picked up in some of my videos if you are not too familiar with Trinidad. Now, Trinidad is part of a country called Trinidad and Tobago. It's two islands. There are some smaller satellite islands that don't really have much inhabitants on them. The main islands are Trinidad and Tobago. And those islands are in the southernmost part of the Caribbean. Trinidad is actually only about 8 miles away from Venezuela. So while I was walking here, I was looking across the statue and I was I had mind to do that as a separate video. But sometimes I just don't get around to things, so I thought to myself, you know what? I'm here, it's a nice sunny day, let's do it now. Now for me there should be some kind of crosswalk here or something, but there isn't, because a lot of people here stop to get a taxi to St. Anne's or whatever. So if you're going to cross here, just be very careful. Now in the old days they didn't have this roundabout. You would literally have to go the whole Savannah to get to St. Anne's if you're coming from Lady Young. But this roundabout is very good for traffic. So this is the monument. I don't know. Tell me what you think. Does that look like the mighty sparrow to you? I like how they did the grounds. I guess I'm not sure what happened to all the plants was here. To me it looked more like it had more shrubs, but something has taken it away, because this has been here for a while, I think. And when I say a while, I don't know, maybe 2-3 years. I'm not sure exactly when it was done, but I mean it wasn't there when I was a kid, but to me it had more stuff going on there as far as greenery. Anyway, did you think that looked like the mighty sparrow? There's another video where I am by the Nelson Mandela Park, which used to be called the King George V Park, and there is a statue of the Kitchener, Lord Kitchener, who is another Calypsonian. And some of the people were commenting that it just didn't look like him. So tell me what you think in the comments area about that statue. So in case you're wondering what that little building is on the right, that's public toilets. And while it is public, you have to pay to use it. It used to be that you didn't have to. You just walk in, but now they have a fee. It's around $2, so just a few cents US. Only in desperation I have ever used those toilets a couple times, and not that particular one we just passed. One's nearer into Port of Spain, and it was okay. I mean, they did keep it clean and whatnot, better than it used to be. That building on the left there, that has taken on so many different uses. It used to be for a phone company, used to be for carnival band, used to have an arcade there that had games. And over the years, it just changed and changed and changed to where it is now, which is absolutely nothing going on there. If you remember those days when it used to have different things going on, feel free to comment in the comments area. Now, one thing I've noticed about the Queen's Park Savannah, I may have mentioned this in my other videos, is that the maintenance on it has really lagged, especially since the pandemic. You'll see some areas that have been cut and then other areas that are just totally bushy, like what we just passed. And I don't know what the reason for that is. I mean, it is a big piece of land, but there has to be some kind of unison between the time where you cut, the grass and whatnot, and maintain it and prune new trees. I mean, is it that you cut one section of the savannah, you wait a week and you come back for the next? I mean, this should be a daily thing for a park of this size. And I always talk about this, that there should be specific crews catering for certain areas of the city and doing their job daily. So that would be good for employment and good for the citizenry as well as for tourists and whatnot. I see National Insurance Board building, that glass building. A lot of these buildings for you might be very new. One thing that the Savannah never had was tall buildings around it, but they seem to be getting taller and taller as time goes by, and in doing so they actually block the view. Like, you can't see when that building is there, you can't see the background, which would be Belmont, Laventil, and those areas. I don't know if that's purposeful or not, but they are blocking the view. Later on in this video, you'll actually see where they're building this large medical administration building. I shouldn't say medical, but the Ministry of Health administration building is going to be occupying there, and the building is huge, blocking everything in the background. They have a lot of vagrants that sleep around the savannah. It's one of the sad realities of things that go on in Trinidad and Tobago. People have needs, and a lot of it may not be monetary. You may think, oh, that person just needs money or whatnot, but a lot of it is that they need psychological or psychiatric help in order to get them going to where they need to be. But those services also are lacking, and I could say that because as a parent of special needs children, I can tell you that from personal view and experience, that healthcare, or I should say mental health care, is lacking terribly. And I've heard experts say this too, so it's not just me speaking as a parent. They all say the same thing, how terrible the lack of services is. I mean, not to say there aren't mental health services, there are, but you have to pay astronomical amounts of money to access it. And mental health care is similar to physical health care, is something you might have to do ongoing. And if you have to pay constantly, it's like when you go to see the doctor for maybe an injury to your leg or whatever, you pay once. He may tell you, okay, it has to heal, come back in a couple of weeks, but usually with mental health care, you need actually help sometimes daily. You can't just tell the person, well, have a session and then go and come back in a month and expect them to be all right. Anyway, we're not a little too much about mental health care, but that's just a very important topic for me, again, as a parent of special needs children. That building on the left there is First Citizens Bank. I believe it used to be called the National Commercial Bank, or NCB. Remember those days? The bank owned by the government. If you used to bank with them or you remember going in there with them, feel free to comment. Now, a lot of you talked about not seeing vendors. You see all those tents and stuff in that area? That is where the vendors are now. They are allowed to sell their food and palori and whatever have you in that area. While I understand the purpose of moving them there, it's kind of awkward because, one of the things you used to like to do around the savannah was, as you go around the savannah, you could choose your favorite vendor, buy a palori or whatever, and then sit down in the part of the savannah that you like. But by putting all the vendors in one place, you kind of limit where people can go. So most people now don't tend to line there, they just buy their food and go, especially because this part of the savannah is kind of dark and considered not as safe as the western part of the savannah. You can see the big administration building there on the left. And ironically, even though I took this video footage a couple months ago, the building on your left today in November actually looks more or less like that still. I don't know when exactly they will complete it, but I imagine I will capture some of that when it's done. But you could see the big shadow it casts on the road as it blocks off everything. That's Memorial Park. Of course, I have videos capturing that too. It's actually quite a nice monument for the recognition and remembrance of these soldiers who fought in World War II. That curved or arched building with the glass and what looks like a stainless steel look, that's called Napa. They play, they conduct theater and dance and music and different events there. I've been in there actually when I went to take the COVID-19 vaccine, and they had their set up as one of the places to go, and it was my first time going in there, and it's actually pretty nice. Very large inside, nice seats and stuff. If you've gone in, if you've attended a show or whatnot, feel free to chime in on it. Now we're passing a coconut cart. That one is closed, but generally that's the only kind of vendors that are allowed around the savannah. Those vendors. And of course the birds could go anywhere they like. Now I know I'm talking, I guess this is new, but I've taken a lot of footage of this area in a number of videos, but I know for some of you will not tire in seeing this. Especially if you've been living abroad, all of this would be like, wow, I would like to see that in person, right? I believe this building is built mainly by the Chinese. There are a lot of Chinese contractors in here now, and they are building up a lot of infrastructure. There are also some stray dogs every now and again. So many things that are going on in the country right now. Well, of course, with the war in Ukraine, because I cover some of that too on my channel. You would have seen some videos for that if you haven't. Things are going up all around the globe. and prices are rising. And I always hear people argue, especially from people abroad, that oh, things are going up everywhere and whatever, whatever. Yeah, that's true, but we don't have the salary you guys get abroad. I mean, a lot of the people here work for what I would call pittance. It's not money they can really do much with or change their lives. I mean, there are people who are well educated and may have a good job and so, but they are not the majority. So, a lot of people you find as you meet are living with either their parents or relatives or shacking up by different people in order to make ends meet. Because, for instance, if you had to pay rent and you're doing a menial job, there's no way you would be able to pay it. Literally not. And then count on top of that food and all that sort of stuff. No way. That's the cannonball tree. I also have a video specifically about this tree. I was able to catch a squirrel in it. It's a beautiful tree. Very unusual, almost has that mystical look to it. All these buildings here I talk about in some of my videos, somehow or the other. You can check my other videos about the savannah or going around the savannah. Because in each video I record it a bit differently. Some I record just going forward, some I record with an extension rod for my camera, and some I even record like if I'm holding a dog. It's all different views, different perspectives. This one I'm kind of panning left and right so that you could get a better idea of the places I'm passing. But it was actually to show you some of the decorations, and you could see some of it how it crisscrosses. There are a lot of birds in Trinidad and Tobago, lots. So if you ever came here to do bird watching, you would be well pleased. Some of these birds even captivate me. A lot of macaws too, if you like to watch parrots. They are all around. All kinds of different birds making all kinds of sounds and rackets. Some of my other videos I actually concentrate on some of those too. Of course, that large building is the BP building, British Petroleum. That used to be the Queen's Park Hotel. It had a similar look, but it used to be all white and not so wide, and not with any big buildings to the back of it. That was all done later. I think they wanted to keep the general look of it, which they more or less have, but of course you can't see the modernization. Looks nice though, adds attractiveness to the area. Attractiveness, is that a word? It adds to the cosmetics. Is that the same blackbird always following me? Always seeing them down, or is that a different one? Now across that maritime house you can see how nice it looks. The color they use, but especially that they kept the old colonial look. So sometimes they will modernize a building. When you go inside it looks nothing like the outside. But I like when they try to keep that old colonial or French look, French colonial, in the design of the buildings. That's probably how it originally looked, but they just fixed it up and maintained it. So it has, probably modern applications inside. The Aquamarine building is a Seventh-day Adventist, I believe. Also have some open plots of land here that they could probably do a lot with. Build up something. Properties around here would cost, millions and millions of dollars to be in Savannah. That's like really prime land. So that big open lot of land there, would cost millions. Other things that are going on in the country, because like I was saying, the prices of things are so much. Crime has increased a lot. Trinidad now ranks as one of the top places for murders per capita, and some of the crimes that we hear on the news are brutal. So much so that the US has put out an advisory about traveling here. As a person that's on the road, I mean, I don't have that feeling like, oh, my life is going to be at risk, or I'm like worried or biting my nails. Nothing like that. But I do find myself, like any other citizen, being extra cautious, being more vigilant, paying attention to my surroundings, who I am around, and so forth. Not taking any chances or risks. For instance, I always tell my family, once it reaches 6 o'clock, you need to be indoors. Can't be outside, willy nilly doing whatever, because it's just dangerous, especially at night. That's an Anglican church. Some of these buildings I've captured in videos separately. Yeah? And at different angles. So again, if the Queen's Park Savannah is your thing, you really like to see it and see it in different ways, just look for these videos on my channel. Or if you want to know and you can't find it, just comment that you would like to see the other Savannah video. I'll try to link you to them. I have plenty of them. Some of the things too that concern me a lot about the direction the country is heading to is the feeling of citizenry. I mean, look at that building there. I mean, you see all the colors representing Trinidad and Tobago, and people say, oh, that's so patriotic and you have to love your country and whatnot. But I think there's a misunderstanding of what patriotism is. Being patriotic is not just having a flag in your home, or wearing a shirt that happens to be red, white, and black, or whatever. Patriotism is simple things like making sure when you use something and you want to throw it away, that you throw it away in the proper place, in the trash, not just throw it in your road where there's trash all over. Or being able to communicate with people without getting angry or vexed, or being kind, offering a good turn. But I find people nowadays, especially after the pandemic, they're more angry, they're more aggressive, quick to lash out for any little thing. They throw their trash everywhere. And you've seen that and seen me make videos about that. I mean, it's very concerning. On top of that, you have the crime and whatnot. Now, the thing that, for me, at least, that most people I hear talking about Trinidad, they love the feeling of freedom. And when I say freedom, in other countries, you have to worry about where you go and what you do and what you say. But in Trinidad, there isn't that feeling. You're more or less accepted right away. And there's that feeling that you could just go anywhere and do anything and have a lime, talk with your friends and whatnot. And yes, that's a good aspect of it. But life is not built on that. And so while you can do that, and that's nice for entertainment purposes, progression is very important. That's how families are built. People prosper, people can get homes, and that's very hard here. So outside of the fun, the carnival, the music, and the liming, there's a lot more to be done that actually helps people. So you can see me kind of jogging here. I'm jogging to my truck, and I'm going to end there. when you start back to run, by the way, it's really tough on your lungs and your heart. You feel like, wow, I feel like stopping, but you know, you just have to keep on and keep doing it. You don't necessarily have to do it all at once. You could run, walk, run, walk, run, walk until you set goals for yourself that you could run more the next time. And you don't necessarily have to do it fast. You actually burn more calories by and burn more fat by running slowly. Running fast is nice now and again, but you're actually burning more glycogen and not fat. So it's just taking it from your muscles. And by the way, I'm not a nutritionist, health expert or nothing. Just from my own reading and stuff. Get your own doctor or whomever to assess you for your ability to run. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed our time around the savannah and checking out the colors and hearing me blabber on. Feel free to comment on anything that you saw or anything you'd like me to talk about in my next video, and I'll try to accommodate it. I really appreciate you watching, and I appreciate you sharing and letting others know to subscribe and come see JB's Man Cave. Thanks so much.